إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله جل في العلا وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As we continue in Kitab al-Siyam, the preparation for this upcoming month, this blessed month in Bi'idhnillah Jalla wa Az, and we stopped at the hadith, or actually we conclude the hadith of the A'rabi and the hadith of Abdullah bin Umar, speaking about the sighting of the moon for the inauguration of Ramadan, in which you'll find, like we talked about in the last class, is from the narrations of which Ahl Ilm use in order to refute the people who use the ambiguity of putting doubt in what they call Khabr al-Wahid, of casting doubt inside the Muslims or the hearts of the Muslims of accepting the narration of one narrator or one Sahabi. You'll find that Ahl Ilm use these type of narrations in order to refute these type of doubts that the people of innovation such as the Mu'tazila in these days and times, who are the Asha'ira and the Maturidiyya. It's the Asha'ira and the Maturidiyya from the main groups and sects that still in these days and times have been affected by this type of conviction or this corrupted way of thinking or this corrupted ideology. And we said that the narrations here clearly establishes during the time of the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, for the start of this tremendous ibadah which is considered a pillar of our religion, he only worked by the narration of one person who was reliable, strong in their vision, knew what they were looking for, and the month of Ramadan had actually started due to them sighting the moon, or due to that person, sighting the moon. We also mentioned in regards to the hadith that from the one who sights the moon has to be a Muslim. He cannot be a non-Muslim or working by their sighting. Due to the narration on Abdullah bin Abbas, when the Bedouin came to the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he clearly asked the Bedouin, do you testify that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah and that Muhammad is the Messenger of Allah, to the end of the hadith? And he said, Na'am. So this is to show there's a prerequisite of what? That one has to be Muslim in order for his sighting to be utilized. We also said that the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told Bilal, he says, announce to the people. He said, Bilal, announce to the people, broadcast, and make it widespread and known amongst the people that they were going to prepare to fast the following day, which is also a sunnah that shows when the actual starting of the month of Ramadan, that this is something that the people should make known amongst all the Muslims. So here's a time where one could utilize social media in a positive manner. in order to what? Let all the Muslims know in their area that Ramadan has officially started. We also talked about, from last class, likewise, of those who used another ambiguity, such as that we use what they call Hisab al-Falaki, where our brother Abdul Mateen gave an accurate translation from last class, where he said that it's called the astronomical calculations, that the people want to utilize these days, which is also likewise incorrect. And you'll find that Ahl Ilm, from the great Imam, from a lot of the A'imma, from Shaykh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen of our current day times, and also Shaykh Salih Fawzan, and other than them. And the list goes on, of rejecting the astronomical calculations that people use in order to establish Ramadan. That is rejected and it is not acceptable. Rather, one only utilizes what the Messenger of Allah ﷺ clearly specified, or that what he clearly told us and commanded us of the method to use in order to establish the month of Ramadan, such as the sighting of the moon, where one goes out to seek and investigate the sighting, which starts the 29th night of Sha'ban, or like we said, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, counting the rest of the 30 days, as what we said from the last ahadith or the narrations that have proceeded from the past class or the past lessons. We also talked about, you'll find, especially in these days and times, how a lot of people try to say, or they try to stir up fitna, especially around the last part of Sha'ban, where you'll find that they say, why can't the Muslims unite the sighting? Why is it that we have to have different sightings based upon different so-called areas or different countries or what have you? Why can't we all be united in the sighting? You'll find that Ahl Ilm in this regard likewise mention and say, especially the great Imam, he even gives a good, profound kalima, reminder in this regard, to saying that this is something that is not a big deal. It's not something that person should be making wala wal bara upon, or affair of, what we're making allegiance or disallegiance, or bringing one close, or excommunicating, or ostracizing, or cutting one off, things of that nature, based upon the sighting of the moon. Rather, this is an affair that in which Ahl Ilm even differ. For the affair of the ru'ya, even a lot of you'll find that A'imma that sit from different zones, that everybody has a sighting dependent on the matali', depending on the matali'. And he says, and he asks, and he gives actually a profound statement I wanted to read quickly. He even mentions, it says, even Shaykh Salih Fawzan mentions this in his particular commentary, he mentions, it says, he said that the people now that they start to establish committees or their sittings, and to the point they go to the extreme, they want to even make now mu'tamarat. They start to make what they call nadawat, or they'll start to make mu'tamarat. They will start to now do what they call making big sittings and gatherings, and having now what they call seminars and all these different things in order to unite the sightings. And they say that this is really what's causing the Muslims to be different or to be divided. And it's causing differing amongst the Muslims. He says, subhanAllah. He said that the Muslims, they were fasting during the time of the Messenger of Allah up to our days and times. He said that this problem, or this was never considered a problem. He said until the time when these weird people started to come. He said now they want to try to unite the Muslims upon the sighting, or the sighting of the crescent moon. He said the first thing you need to tell them is, let's unite the Muslims upon ruling by what Allah has revealed. Where's the hukum by the book of Allah? Rather, you'll find a lot of countries now, Muslims are involved in politics and democracy and things of that nature. He said, where's now that the people want to give precedence to now ruling by what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed, in that which is pertaining to ruling by the Sharia, the book of Allah and the Sunnah, the message of Allah. He said some of them, they don't even have ruling by the book of Allah. But despite of that, they want to call out and so-called say that we want to truly unite the Muslims upon one-sided. He said they didn't find except just this to cause fitna around this particular matter. لم يجدوا إلا الهلال فقط. He says you'll find that they never had nothing except this sighting, just to cause stir up problems around. He said then they focus on this. He said this is a bit out of ignorance and this is out of also being extreme, which Allah has not sent down any authority. He said the only thing that will unite the Muslims is uniting them upon one belief and one creed. That's it. That's the only thing that will unite the Muslims. No more, no less. He says, why don't they call out to the Muslims and cause fitna, or so-called stir up to call out the Muslims to uniting upon one aqeedah, or correcting in their aqeedah, or correcting their conviction, correcting their belief system. He said, why don't they say this? Why do they never make this a big deal? Every year they want to talk about the hilal, the sighting of the moon, but they never will talk about uniting the Muslims upon the correct belief system, or the correct belief. He said, why don't they call out about this? Because this truly will what? Unify their what? Their ranks. And this will truly unify themselves. He says there's no way that the Muslims will never be united without correcting their foundation, and correcting their conviction in the belief system. The aqeedah to tawheed is the only thing that unite them. As for everyone being upon one manner, one way, different ways or different manners, and different convictions, and different creeds, and different beliefs, and different methodologies. He said all of this is what truly causes division. And they would never be able to unite unless they what? They actualize what we're mentioning here. He says even if they was to so-called verbally say that they're what? United, but in actuality they are still what? Their hearts are cursing each other and still have enmity. And eventually they're going to what? Display that enmity. And they're going to start cutting each other off, and eventually war is going to break out. Just as happened in the history. You'll find the history of the deviant sects. They all came together to destroy the people of the truth. Then after that, they started fighting amongst each other. And they started to be divided into more deviant sects amongst themselves. He said this is what's incumbent upon the Muslims to what? Talk about. And they should what? They should now make committees about this. Make committees to unite the Muslims upon one aqeedah. Make committees to try to make the Muslims united upon one methodology, one aqeedah. Why don't you start establishing committees in this regard and in this affair? But you'll find that they never do that. He said even a salat, all around the world, he says, is there any way that all the Muslims simultaneously can pray at the same time? Person now is fajr overseas, it might be dhuhr here. Let's all pray at the same time. He said that's impossible. He said even a salat around the world, everybody has different times based upon the zones, based upon the areas. He said likewise the siyam will be different. Even at certain time zones where people break their fast, where people did not break their fast yet. That's even here in America, right everyone? You have people who are still in the day while Maghrib just came in. Even in California, Maghrib came in, they're still probably more than likely in the daytime. He said this is something that is something well established and known. He said there's no way that this could happen where a person can unanimously or simultaneously pray all at the same time in every single area. This is something that can't what? Exist. He said this is something that is known. So that's the reason why we don't pay attention to these people when in every single year of starting fitna around this particular matter. That we don't pay them any mind or any attention, and we move forward in regards to our religious affairs. And do not pay them any mind and don't give them any regard to what? They're trying to stir up of confusion, and also likewise trying to so-called, as they say, unite the Muslims. In actuality, it's just a bunch of nonsense. And it's just more of what? Wasting time. The Muslims will never unite unless they rectify their foundations and rectify their creed, and they be united upon one belief. طيب. The next hadith, if everyone looks in their books, on the authority of Hamzah al-Mu'mineen. You didn't bring your book? On the authority of Hamzah al-Mu'mineen radiyallahu anha, that the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned and said, من لم يبيت الصيام قبل الفجر فلا صيام له رواه الخمسة ومال النسائي والترمذي لترجيح وقفه وصححه مرفوعا ابن خزيمة وابن حبان وللدارقطني لا صيام لمن لم يفرضه من الليل. We thought of Hafsa al-Mu'mineen. Said that the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned and said, whoever does not make their intention of fasting before Fajr, then he has no siyam. Then he has no siyam. Has been related in what everyone, Rawah al-Khamsa, which is in Imam Ahmad, Abu Dawood, Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Khuzaymah, Ibn Hibban. He says, whoever does not make their intention before Fajr, then he has no siyam. فَيَا مَعِشْ الْإِخْوَةِ, as we know that everything starts with the niyyah, and the niyyah is not made verbally. Rather it's made, or mahalluhu al-qalb, as you know al-ilm mentioned, that is places of the heart. That the niyyah is not made verbally, but it is made, or its place is of the heart. And that siyam is not valid except by intention. It's not valid except by one's intention. We know that the hadith in which the great Imam an-Nawawi has established, that all of us know the hadith, that all the a'mal, innamal a'malu bin niyat, that all the actions are based upon intentions, as everyone knows. طيب. However, everyone, in regards to the obligatory fast, one needs to specify and make his intention before Fajr. Right, everyone? We'll discuss whether or not does it suffice that one make his intention in the first part of the month. Will that suffice for the rest of the month? Where in that is some khilaf. Where you'll find that Ibn Uthaymeen, don't write this down. Don't. But Shaykh Uthaymeen does say that it does suffice unless something breaks the niyyah, such as traveling or what have you. Then it's incumbent upon one to what? To renew his niyyah. However, you'll find that, because I know some people will do research and they'll find this statement. However, what is more ahwat wa abra' lidhimma, what is more cautious, is that you make your niyyah at night before you start your fast. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Just to be safe and secure. Before Fajr, before you go to sleep at night, like I said, to make your intention to what? To wake up in order to what? To fast before you go to sleep. Now, regards to the siyam that is obligatory, and we said that the siyam that's obligatory breaks down to how many categories, everyone? How many? Siyam that's obligatory breaks down to how many categories? 3. We said you have what is pertaining to Ramadan, whether it be ada'an or qada'an, whether it be performing it in the month of Ramadan or making it up after the month. So siyam that is wajib, first, number 1 is Ramadan. Number 2, what is obligatory is siyam an-nadhr, the siyam of taking an oath. And number 3 is the siyam of what they call kaffara, the siyam of an expiation. Those siyam is a what? It's obligatory. And they have to be made with a niyyah before Fajr. Why am I saying the siyam that is obligatory? Because there's another type of siyam, rather it's a third one, not the second one. Let me just talk about the second one. The second one is the siyam that is highly recommended. What is supererogatory, or if you want to say voluntary, type of siyam. Where the Messenger of Allah ﷺ had what? Encouraged one to fast 13th and 14th and 15th of every Hijri month. The white days. According to the Hijri calendar, not the Gregorian calendar. 13th, 14th, 15th. According to the Hijri calendar, it's called Ayyam al-Bid. The white days. For some odd reason, somebody told me it was called the white nights. I don't know why. But anyway, the white days. So it's the 13th, 14th, 15th. And, for example, Monday and Thursday. Or, for example, 3 days from every month. Or, I'll get into it later, Friday, if, we'll talk about that later. Friday, if it's obligatory, or if a siyam is done the day before or day after, but it cannot be done by itself if it's voluntary. But if it's obligatory, you can fast Friday. Don't worry, don't write that down. But anyway, these type of siyam that the Messenger of Allah highly recommended, but it's not obligatory, such as Monday and Thursday, or the white nights, they also have to be, the intention has to be made before Fajr. There's a third type of siyam. Where one does not need a niyyah before Fajr. There's a third type of siyam. That siyam we're going to talk about. That's going to come. That siyam, it's in the chapter. That siyam is, for example, an abrupt type of siyam that one wants to do abruptly, haphazardly. For example, I wake up, pray Fajr, maybe a couple of hours later, I didn't eat or drink anything. Notice I said that. Keep that in mind. I didn't eat or drink anything. Or I was not intimate with my wife, what have you. Whatever. Anything that break my fast, I didn't have it. Came upon the morning, asked my wife, you cook anything? No. All right, I'm fasting. That type of siyam is like an abrupt siyam, which is a type of voluntary siyam where one does not need the niyyah before Fajr. He does not need the niyyah before Fajr. As long as he did not eat any of the mufattirat, or anything that will break his fast. If he ate anything that will break his fast, like such as food or drink or anything, then he cannot do that type of fast. But if he abstained from anything that will break his fast, of anything, food, drink, whatever, or needle that gets nutrients to the body, or whatever, then a person can do this type of abrupt fast, which is the third category. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? A person will ask what's the delil for that, it's in here, don't worry. It's right in the chapter. طيب. The reason why I said that is because the siyam, or the niyyah, the intention is for what, everyone? The first two categories, which is obligatory and the highly recommended siyam. The third one, which is abrupt type of siyam, in which one wants to do, for example, abruptly, we just wanted to do a quick siyam for the day or what have you. That siyam does not need to make a niyyah before Fajr. Doesn't have to. Everybody's looking at me like this is the first time they ever heard that. Absolutely. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. I see what I said. I see where they got confused. Ahsant. Jayyid. Mumtaz. Jayyid. I see where everyone got confused. Jayyid. Jazakallah khayna. Mumtaz. As far as the obligatory siyam, and all the three that we broke it down into, all those need a niyyah before Fajr. Not expiation. That's considered wajib, obligatory. Absolutely. Mumtaz. All those three obligatory siyam under the first category, all need a niyyah before Fajr. All of them. Is it clear? Then the second category, which is highly recommended, also needs a niyyah. Third doesn't. Absolutely. Spur of the moment, haphazard, whatever. Mm-hmm. Exactly. As long as it's the condition that he did not eat in his body any of the mufattirat, anything that will break his fast. All that's going to come is a narration. Matter of fact, it's right here. Matter of fact, it's next to this one. It's right next to it. If you look in Bulugh al-Maram, that's why I take your book. Where's your book? So it says, Hadith Aisha. Notice that, it says right in your books, everyone. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu entered upon Aisha. دخل علي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات يوم فقال هل عندكم شيء؟ هل عندكم شيء؟ قلنا لا. قال فإني إذا صائم. ثم أتانا يوم آخر فقلنا أهدي إلينا حيث. قال أرينيه عفوا أرينيه عفوا فلقد أصبحت صائما. فأكل. That's going to come. This has a fa'idah, this hadith here. Of Aisha, right here. He said, دخل علي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم came upon me, or entered upon me. One day, messenger, and this was after Fajr. This is after Fajr. He said, do you have anything to eat? Do you have anything? She said, no. Hence, I'm fasting. So the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم started fasting, and the sun was already up. Sun was already up. Understand? Hence, I'm fasting. Verily, فَإِنِّي إِذًا صَائِمٌ. Verily, hence, I'm fasting. Sun was up. The problem is with this narration here, because I found this out years ago when I was doing some research. Some people thought this was pertaining to the fasting of Monday and Thursday. When I did some research on it. Because a person thought that was what? So I don't have to, on the Mondays and Thursdays, I can start in the middle of the day. No. Nope. And I'm going to bring the kalam for it because I did some research on this years ago. So the second category, they thought that it didn't need a niyyah before Fajr. They thought you could do it in the middle of the day based upon this narration. That's not the meaning. Exactly. Like I just want to do an abrupt siyam. I just want to abruptly do something. Exactly. It might just so happen. It coincided with the the highly recommended days. Exactly. It's not the sunnah days that the Prophet highly recommended that one do it. It's something just abrupt. But it's not the same as, your intention is not for that particular highly recommended fast that the Messenger of Allah prescribed. Is it clear? The reason why I'm saying that because I know some people that read this narration, they confuse the second category and the third category. Or they think it's the same. Or they'll mix it up. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? They'll read this narration, Monday, Tuesday, the a.m. to beat. I can fast at any time I want as long as I didn't eat and drink. I'm good. La. Huh? No. And I did research on this years ago. Is it clear so far? It's clear so far what I'm saying? Basically, to sum it all up, don't mix the second category with the third. They're two separate categories. And the second category needs a what? Niyyah before Fajr. Because some people think that the third category is the what? They think the third category is the second. So I don't need a niyyah before Fajr. I could just do it in the middle of the day, I'm good. La. Is it clear? Jay. Your niyyah could be, like I said, if it's just abrupt siyam or something different. But it doesn't necessitate that it's those highly recommended siyam. You understand? That's something different. If your intention is to do the highly recommended on Monday and Thursday, then you start from Fajr. But it's just an abrupt siyam, or we won't have nothing in the house to eat. All right, I'm fasting. Is it clear? So, then this narration is going to come. Don't worry, everyone. طيب. So that's the reason why we said, and we clearly mentioned that siyam is upon what? Siyam that is obligatory. صيام النفل فالصوم الواجب لا يصح إلا بنية قبل الفجر أو قبل طلوع الفجر. طيب. So in regards to now, that's the reason why I just mentioned it said that it's important to have what? The intention before Fajr. And that's as far as with the obligatory siyam. How many categories are they for the obligatory siyam? 3. G. Then the second. The second just depends on what the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prescribed of what the highly recommend or recommended fasting for every month. That's all. Need intention. Need intention. You could. But it wouldn't be the reward if you was to do it fully on those days. If you was to do it from Fajr to what? Till the sun went down. It wouldn't be the same reward. The reward of what you do from Fajr all the way up to when it what? Break the fast, reward is great. Reward is greater. Because a person now, let's just say, woke up, might have been after Dhuhr. The day might be long, might be short. Dhuhr, 12, sun goes down around 4. So he fasts only 4 hours. Right? So now we're going to say the person that started from Fajr all the way until he broke his fast, the same one that started at 4 hours prior, before the sun went down. We're going to say that they're equal in reward? La. You understand? The reason why we're doing this so people won't make tawassu'. They will start now to everything that's obligatory to try to find a makhraj, find a way out to make it easy on themselves. So, like what? So I wake up in the morning, I'm good. Maybe we start fasting now. We got something to eat, I'm going to eat. Then alhamdulillah, it's only about 2 hours left. I'm a fast. Let me get a quick fast in. I'm good. No. We said as far as the obligatory fasting, of course, all those categories need to start before Fajr. All of the obligatory siyam, whether it be for Ramadan, whether you're doing it in the month or after the month where it's being made up, or the siyam al-nafal, superioratory siyam, in which, like we said, has to be done in the niyas before Fajr. It wasn't clearly mentioned here in Sheikh Salih Fawzan's commentary. Because even me, when I studied and I read the explanation, I said, I think I got to make some more research on this. So I said, so you mean to tell me Monday, Thursday, and Ayyam al-Bid, I don't need to make a niyyah before Fajr? Because that kept bothering me. It was like something is in the back of my head bothering me. So I kept doing more research. I was doing more research, and I found it. Shaykh Uthaymeen said, no, that particular type of siyam needs a niyyah before Fajr of the highly recommended type of siyam. Because it's like I said, something was in myself that kept saying, something's not right, something's not right, something's not right. So then I checked behind it, just to make sure. And I found what I was looking for years ago when I was doing research on this. Because I thought how you thought. You could do an obligatory fast on Friday. Obligatory fast can be done any day during the year by itself, with the exception of the 2 Eids. Obligatory fast can be done any day by itself. As long as the intent, of course, along with the intention before Fajr. Any day. Obligatory siyam can be done any day during the year. It can be done Saturday by itself, Friday by itself, Thursday by itself. Absolutely. Obligatory siyam. As far as a voluntary siyam, absolutely not. Voluntary, if you fast Friday by itself, no. Unless you fast a day before or a day after it. We'll talk about that inshallah. Don't worry, that's a whole other separate affair. Let's keep on Ramadan. Well, what's the problem?
No, I got it. That's for
not obligatory. Not obligatory. Keep in mind, the siyam of what is obligatory can be done any day of the years, just like Ramadan. Ramadan, don't we fast on Friday? Absolutely. During the days of Ramadan, don't we fast on Friday? Absolutely. Likewise, similar to after the month of Ramadan is over. Still one would fast on, because the fast of Ramadan is the haqq of Allah. That's Allah's haqq. It can be done every day, any day during the year. Any day, except for the 2 Eids, of course. But other than that, if it's a voluntary fast cannot be done on Friday by itself, or Saturday alone by itself. or Saturday. Unless you do a fast, like we said, couple it along with each other. You understand? We'll talk about that later. Don't worry. طيب. So the message of Allah ﷺ mentioned it clearly. He says, "Man lam yubayt as-siyam qabla al-fajr fala siyama lah." For the one who does not make his intention before Fajr, then he has no fast. And he has to make his intention before he actually inaugurates in the fast itself. So this clearly shows that what, everyone? As long as one makes his intention before he goes to sleep, and he wakes up, let's just say a couple of minutes after Fajr, he didn't eat suhoor. As long as he made his intention, then what? Then his fasting is still valid. Is it clear what I'm saying? Let's just say a person, like we said, went to sleep. He went to sleep after Isha, he made his niyyah before he went to sleep. طيب, he missed suhoor, woke up 10 minutes after Fajr, or 20 minutes after Fajr came in. Wakes up, did he suhoor? طيب, if he wanted to now fast, of course, due to the fact that he made his niyyah before what? Before he went to sleep, then his fast is still what? Still valid. Jayyid? So that's the reason why we said the intention is what? It's very important here. That's the reason why the message of Allah had meant that said that in this particular narration here in this book, whoever does not make his intention before Fajr, he has no what? Siyam. In contrast to the person who does not what? Make his intention. He wakes up, what do we say? If he wakes up, then what, everyone? He didn't make his intention. He didn't make a niyyah at all. Jayyid. It's not valid. What would he have to do? Absolutely. You have to make that day up after the month of Ramadan. After the month of Ramadan. Ibn al-Qayyim gave a good fa'idah in regards to what? As far as the intention. He says even when a person wakes up in the morning, 10, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour before Fajr comes in, this is a clear niyyah. The fact that you're cooking or you're making something or you're preparing your pre-dawn meal is a clear indication that suffices for what? Your intention is to start fasting. That's clear, it's evident. Person wakes up to half an hour before I got to eat. As soon as you know how to take a pre-dawn meal, that's a clear indication that you what? You want to start fasting. Exactly. You don't have to get up and say, I intend to fast, I intend to siyam for today. No. First of all, you don't even make it verbally. That's the first thing. Secondly, like we said, one would suffice by what he got up for, which is a clear indication that he's about to start fasting. Doesn't need to not need to verbalize, nor he needs to sit there and ponder and do fast. No. Once you get up, you start taking your pre-dawn meal, that's a clear indication that you're about to start your fast. Jayyid. طيب. Just to read a quick benefit in which the great Imam mentions here, where he mentions this, so we can do this clearly. Let's talk about the third category. Oh man, we didn't even read that. We have to read it. Matter of fact, let's just read the narration. Hadith of Aisha. طيب. Read the Hadith of Aisha where it says, we already read it. The message of Allah sallallahu that she entered upon Aisha, right? The message of Allah sallallahu, keep in mind, like we said, this narration, the sun was already up. So the message of Allah sallallahu entered upon her and said, do you have anything? She said, no. He says, hence, verily, hence now I'm what? I'm fasting. So the sun was already up. Then the message of Allah sallallahu came back another day. He said, so Aisha radiallahu anha said, uhdiya ilayna hays. Hays was given to us as a gift. It was given to us as a gift. Hays is I think, do people know what hays is? When they went to Saudi, it still exists to this day. It's a famous food. It's mixed with like dates and, what did they mix with it? But aqid, they put suman, they put dates, they put kind of a little bit of fat in it. They put some dates in it, and they mix it. It's like a hard clay, but it's nice. It's like a type of food. But at any rate, he said it was given to a gift, hays. So the message of Allah sallallahu said, let me see it. Show it to me. For verily, I came upon the morning what? Fasting. Then the Messenger of Allah broke it. Broke it. فَأَكَلْ. He ate. So he said he broke it. The hadith is in where? Muslim. Jayyid. We already explained the first part of the hadith. Right, everyone? We already explained it. As long as it's in the third category we mentioned, an abrupt type of siyam. Just abruptly wanted to start a fast in the middle or during the day. And that has to be in the middle necessarily. But any part during the day, as long as he didn't what? Take in any of those things or affairs that breaks his fast. That third category, not obligatory. Then you have the opposite of what the Messenger of Allah ﷺ taught here. In regard to the third. In regards to the what? Third. And in certain cases, it could be the second. As I'll talk about inshallah. It could be. Where one could break it. But if it's obligatory, one cannot break it. Cannot break his fast. But if he was doing a voluntary type of fast, he was doing something voluntary, then he could start it, based upon the third category, of course, he could start it in when the sun is up, during the day, and if he wanted to cut it, he wanted to stop, maybe someone invited him over his house unexpectedly, and the person prepared a lot of food for him. The person prepared all this food, prepared a lot of what? Trying to be hospitable towards his guests. And you're going to come and tell him, after all this, we're waiting for you. Then you're going to tell him, listen, I can't eat, I'm fasting. A voluntary fast. No. That's the reason why it's important to have what? Everyone, ilm. These type of sunnah, this hadith narration shows that if this is the case and certain these situations come up, then you can what? You can break it. You can break it. It's only voluntary. It's not something obligatory. It's clear? Especially in those type of circumstances. Someone invites you over their house, they prepare all this food, they spend all this money, being hospitable, and you're going to really sit there in their face and tell them, I'm sorry, I can't eat, I'm fasting. No, if you're doing something voluntary, you have now your dalil to show that what? You can break it if you want. You can break it. So the Prophet ﷺ here, what? He said that he broke his fast, which clearly leads to show that one, if he wanted to cut his niyyah, he can do it. He can do it. But I'll read quickly even with the great Imam that he goes on to say. He says, أَمَّا النَّفَ فَيَجُوزُ أَن يَدْوِيَهُ مِنَ النَّهَارِ. He says, as for, what is that third category that we mentioned and said? If the person comes upon him, فَلَوْ أَصْبَحَ لَمْ يَأْكُلْ وَلَمْ يَشْرَبْ بَعْدَ الْفَجْرِ وَهُوَ مَا نَوَى الصِّيَامِ ثُمَّ نَوَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ صَحْ لأن النفل أوسع من الفرض. ولحديث عائشة عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم دخل بيته فسأل هل عندهم شيء للأكل قالوا لا. To the end of it. So he says this is a clear indication in this type of fasting that was just an abrupt, of course, voluntary type of fast. He says that he did not start his niyyah before Fajr, right? He made it after Fajr. So if a person now wanted to make a siyam, this type of fasting, which we're talking about now, if he made his niyyah after that, after the sun came up, and it was this type of fasting, then it's what? It's valid. It's correct. Because what is voluntary, he said, it's more vast than what is obligatory. And also the hadith of Aisha, when the Prophet ﷺ clearly came upon her, we entered upon her in the house, in their living quarters or what have you. He says, do you have anything to eat? She said, no. So this was to show that the Prophet ﷺ did not eat anything at all yet. Or drink anything. Did he? No. Just seeing if you're with me. So, even the great Imam Sheikh Salih Fawzan goes on to say, فَأَحْدَثَ النِّيَّةَ عِنْدَ ذَلِكَ الْوَقْتِ فِي النَّهَارِ. The Prophet ﷺ started his niyyah. This is what he clearly says. عِنْدَ ذَلِكَ الْوَقْتِ فِي النَّهَارِ. He brought his niyyah forth in the time during the day. This is something voluntary, which is an indication for the what? For the validity of one's voluntary fast, even if his niyyah started during the day, with the condition that he did not eat anything or drink anything of the mufattirat, eat or drink, or what is the meaning of eating and drink, anything, if he wanted to do this type of what? Fast. Then he came back in the second day. And they informed him that they did have something to eat, which is hais. Well, hais, alhamdulillah, even the Shaykh even gave an explanation what it is. Hais is like dates along with a little bit of fat, a little bit of aqit, I think it's cheese or some type of cheese. What's that? Dry cheese. Jay. With dry cheese, and they mix it up together with some type of fat to the end of it. And they informed him this type of food that they had. So he said, show it to me. Verily, I have what? Came upon the morning fasting. So they ate it. So then this is a clear indication that in a voluntary fast, it's not obligatory that you have to what? Complete it. You don't have to complete it. Maybe in certain circumstances, maybe your family wants to go out. Maybe your family want to take you out. Maybe your wife wants to surprise you. Or maybe you want to surprise your wife. And she cooked all this food for you. Do you tell her, I'm sorry, babe, I can't? No. In this particular instance, you can what? If it's voluntary, you can what? Discontinue and what? Break the fast. And you don't have to make it up. Gee, you don't have to make it up. Especially voluntary fast, you don't have to make it up. Voluntary fast, you don't have to make it up. All the obligatory fast has to be what? Done from Fajr all the way up to when? When the sun goes down. Jayid? Now let's just say, and alhamdulillah, Abdul Mateen gave a good point. You stopped your niyyah in the middle of the day with a obligatory siyam. Does it suffice, or will you have to make it up? So let's, for example, started for Fajr, not Ramadan. Ramadan is clear. Let's just do kafara or nadhr. Person is now fasting what? Of a vow that he took. What they call nadhr, which is a type of ibadah. It's a type of ibadah. Rather, Sheikh Muhammad Aman Jami said about nadhr, as we'll take in Kitab al-Tawheed, don't worry, it's going to come. We called it ibadatu mustaqillatu faridatu liwahdiha. He says it's a type of worship that stands out alone. Why does he say that? What's the reason? Because that type of ibadah, there's no ibadah from the ibadat of Allah that in its origin is detested for you to do it. Except that particular worship. Why? Because another, in its origin, you find that it's something that Allah did not make it obligatory upon you. You made it obligatory upon yourself. That's number one. Because that's what another is. Another is a vow that you take for Allah. But usually these type of worship is done because it's as if you're trying to make a deal with Allah almost. What you mean? What do I mean by that? Like basically you're trying to make your ibadah a conditional. Like for example, إن شفى الله مريضي فعلي لله أن أصوم 4 أيام من كل شهر لبقية هذا السنة. If Allah cures my sick, then it's upon me for Allah that I fast 3 days out of every month for the rest of this year. So you made your ibadah with Allah conditional. That Allah has to cure the sick in order for me to do this worship. That's the reason why it's detested to do this. You understand? But if he cures you, got to do it now. To cure my sick or to cure, a loved one of mine. That's the reason why you even find Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah says that this is muharram. He even said that this type, he even mentioned that they said that nadhr is muharram. That's the reason why you'll find that the A'imma said that the siyam and nadhr, or nadhr in general, nadhr in general, some ulama say it's hated. One shouldn't do it. Because you'll never find any ibadah of Allah that's detested. Do you? None. That's the reason why that worship stands out alone from the rest of the worships. Why? Because you'll find that Ahl Ilm say it's detested, and then you will find some Ahl Ilm say that it's muharram. It's impermissible. What's the evidence in the Sunnah? The Prophet ﷺ made it clear. He says, "In another, إنه لا يأتي بخير وإنما يستخرج به من البخيل." The Prophet ﷺ said that. He says, "Another brings no good. In another, لا يأتي بخير." Doesn't bring any good. Verily, it's extracted from the one who is stingy. Why did the Prophet ﷺ say this? Because the ibadah that you're doing is what? Conditional. If Allah does this, then I'll do this. If Allah does this, then I'll do this. If Allah does this for me, I'll do this. If Allah did. Exactly. You understand now? Jayyid. You even find that Shaykh al-Islam said this type of ibadah is muharram. Naam, you'll find it. He says muharram. That's the reason why you find Sheikh Muhammad Ahmad Jami said that this ibadah stands out alone by itself. Because you'll never find no ibadah that in its origin is detested. Or even it might be what? Haram. Is it clear? But if you do it, it's binding upon you to carry it out. And if you do it for other than Allah, your Islam is nullified. Because it's a type of ibadah. Absolutely. If nothing is done for other than Allah, it's shirk. Because it's ibadah. That's the reason why we get Kitab Tawheed. They'll come in Kitab Tawheed, don't worry. But at any rate, that was just his high point. At any rate, Siyam an-Nadhr has to start, let's just say now you started from Fajr. Started from Fajr. And I broke my fast at Dhuhr. We would say here, you have not fulfilled your duty. You still have to now make that day up. You did not what? Carry out that siyam that's obligatory in a manner that is what? Legislated. So that particular siyam that you broke has to be made up. It's obligatory. It's obligatory. It's wajib. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? I like when people's eyes go like this. I love it. Because that means the brain is working. It's processing. The information is that means that the brain is working. It's time to call you then. Jade. That's the reason why I'm here. I'm here to help us all benefit from each other, to teach us things we didn't know. We did not know. أشهد لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمد For 1 second, everyone, I'm just looking at something. Excuse me. Oops, sorry, excuse me. Exactly. Sorry about that. That's basically the same thing. He's refuting about the astronomical calculations. And he's also talking about how the matali are different. He's on the same opinion. That the zones, if they're different in their areas, different continents, that they all have their own sighting. The place of matali' is the place of sunrise. That's the meaning of matla'. Matali', that the place where the sun rises on the different zones where they are, depending on the places. It's the same thing. The same thing we already mentioned. We already talked about that. Anyway, now, is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So far, so good. Is there anything before we move on? Anything before we move on? Any questions? For Monday, Thursday? No. One is that to make those up. But you'll find that, and inshallah, like I said, it's going to come. But it's highly recommended if one is able to complete those fasting. If he engages out of a fasting, that is highly recommended. It's highly recommended you try to complete it. But if something comes up of something we gave examples of, even if someone invites you over their house or what have you, they could break their fast. You could break it. But you'll find Ahl Ilm say that if you started it, you should try to fast and complete that. Those type of fasts also. Once you start it. But if something happens and you break it, for example, the white nights, 13th, 14th, 15th, do your best to complete it. But if something comes up, you break it, you don't have to make it up. You don't have to make those days up. Only things that has to be made up is something that is obligatory. Siyam kafara, siyam nadar, or siyam Ramadan. Ada'an or qada'an. Ada'an or qada'an. Meaning doing it in the month or after month when we'll mix it up. طيب. Now, we want to talk about, before we start and pray, how many minutes we got? About 3 minutes? Before we pray? That's only 3 minutes. طيب. Now we want to talk about what is the conditions for fasting. Keep in mind these conditions. Number one is, of course, we know one has to be Muslim. Muslim. Of course. One has to be Muslim. He has to be Muslim. He has to be baligh, aqil, muqim, qadir, khalin min al-mawani'. 6. I gave you 6 conditions. Number one is Muslim. He has to be Muslim. We'll get to that. Let us ta'jil. He has to be what? Muslim. We'll decide whether or not a non-Muslim or kafir, will he be held accountable for all the obligations he neglected in his dunya that he was supposed to do, which is a praying every day or 5 times a day, and the ahkam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bonded upon the Muslims. Will a non-Muslim be taken and held accountable? A non-Muslim be taken and held accountable for his neglecting that? We'll talk about that. Exactly. We'll talk about that. Absolutely, he will be. He will be. The true statement, because all of the prophets and the messengers all had what? All of them told and taught their followers that they had to pray pray certain prayers and prescribed prayers every day And it's also been prescribed in the previous legislations that they had to fast. This is something that was prescribed and known for centuries. It's nothing new. But we'll talk about that inshallah. Anyway, so a person has to be Muslim, then he has to be what, everyone? He has to be at the point of what they call baligh. I think Abdul Mateen said, never mind, don't worry about it. Baligh. He has to be at the age of puberty. He has to be at the age of what? Puberty. Which is from the signs of puberty, as we know, which is what, everyone? Is 3 for a man or for a male. Number 1, hair around the pubic hair. Pubic hair, what they call nabat sha'r al-ana. Pubic hair. Around the private part, once hair is developed, that's a clear sign of puberty. طيب. Another one, wet dream. Number 3, he's completed the age of 15. طيب. As I talked about with the sisters earlier, does one have to have all 3 of these in order for us to establish that he's in the age of puberty? No. Just one sign suffices. That's it. He has to pray, he has to fast, he has to do all these obligations. All these duties now have to be done. Jayyid? طيب. As far as the female, then there's a 4th category, which is what? Her mens is a clear sign that she's now entered the stage of womanhood. طيب. So all those are the 4 signs of bulugh, of the second condition. So the second condition broke down to 4, or has 4 conditions. The second condition, which is what? Bulugh. Or sin al-rushd, or sin al-bulugh, or sin al-bulugh. The age of puberty. The age of puberty has how many signs? Signs. 4. So just for the second condition has 4 signs. Signs. Which are pubic hair around the private area. Whatever. What's the other one? Dawood. J. Age of 15. 3rd. Tariq. Wet dream. J. And as far as the woman, mens. طيب. That's the second condition for bulugh. What's the 3rd condition? The 3rd condition is sanity. Sanity. He has to be aqil. Sanity. We'll talk about the details of all these conditions. They're all going to come. Don't worry. Sanity. We're almost finished. We're about to pray right now. Just give you these last 2-3 conditions. We'll be finished. Sanity. He has to be in the right state of mind. طيب. We'll give conditions to this. We'll give details of this. It has a lot of detail. Even the 3rd one has some details in it. Some real details. طيب. The 4th one, he has to have the ability. Qadir. He has to have the ability. He has the ability to fast. The physical capability. The physical capability. Meaning he has to have good health and things of that nature. We'll talk about that. Don't worry. طيب. Number 5, he has to be a resident. A resident, the area he's in. Because we're going to talk about, don't worry, when a person travels, does he have to fast? No, he doesn't. Even if it's obligatory, right, everyone? Let's just say if it's Siyam Ramadan, he travels, does he have to fast? Does he have to fast? There's details in it, but keep that, what you just said is good for now. Mumtaz is good. The one does not have to fast. Right. Last one is what they say has to be void of those barriers that prevent one from fasting. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, for example, a woman's mens. A woman's mens, because a woman's mens is what they call a mani'. So mani' is something that came from outside that what? Had restricted her from performing that particular worship for a temporary time, where once it stops, then that barrier is lifted. She has to continue now. So now, like we said, a woman's mens, also likewise what? Also likewise is another condition. So a woman cannot fast while she's on her mens. If she's on her mens, she has to what? She has to not fast. طيب, we'll get inside the affair of what Ahl Ilm mentioned of pertaining to this last one, of whether or not a person can get cupped while he's fasting. Because if a lot of blood is taken out of one's body, then we will what? Then that will break. We will say upon the qawl rajih that breaks one's fast. If a lot of blood comes out, a lot, intentionally, a lot of blood comes out, such as cupping, because cupping takes a lot of blood out. Then we'll say that's also similar to what? We'll talk about that, inshallah, whether or not it breaks one's fast, cupping, while he's fasting. We'll talk about that. And also whether or not a lot of blood being extracted from his body does it break one's fast. As far as that, which is a little bit of blood, a little cut or what have you, or something of a little prick of the finger. One cuts his finger, he might be making some food, and he cuts his finger and a lot of blood starts coming up. He stops. That does not break the fast. First of all, you didn't do it intentionally. Secondly, it's not so much blood to the point where it will necessitate one's fast being broke. Just a little cut and a little blood comes out, some blood or a towel, whatever, and he stops it. One can continue his fast. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll talk about that later. Some details in this matter, we'll give it to you at this time. Don't worry. We have some days to come in which we'll clarify all these matters. Gee. Right, we'll stop for the prayer and we'll continue at the salah. What are you looking at? Everything all right? Yeah. Huh? Huh? Blood leaving the body replenishes the body? تفضل جماعة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر